and welcome to the World Cyber Games 2012 Grand Finals in beautiful Busan, China. I'm Clutch, joining me is Rambo, and we're about to cast World of Tanks. The Russian team, the Red Rush, will be facing off against the home favorite, the team from China, WaveKnight. Rambo, we see the Red Rush right now. They're looking pretty ready to go, getting all their settings set.
Yeah, we see the Russian team. They've got a bunch of smiles on their faces. Supposedly they're the favorites coming in here, so they're sitting confident. We see the Chinese team there. They seem really focused. They're into the game. Lots of money on the line, a lot of honor and prestige as well.
That's right, a very major tournament for World of Tanks here. This has been one of the biggest events I've ever been to. First time in China for myself. I have to say I'm very impressed. Been involved in esports for a number of years now. Very excited to see a title like World of Tanks to be here at the World Cyber Games. Nationally ranked first place is the Red Rush. And seeing each of these teams kind of make names for themselves, getting better and better at World of Tanks, and seeing team leaders like K23, Imelka, sitting calm, taking a quick breath, just waiting for the intros here of all the players. There we have his teammate, Kilroyd. Reminds me of that song by Styx. Thank you very much, Mr. Vato. It's actually pronounced Kilroyd. And then we have Deluxe. Himself having a good time talking to his teammate. And that teammate would be LeBois. Each of these team members have to select the tanks before they start the match. Any final discussions they're going to have strategy-wise are taking place now before the match actually starts. And there is Inspirer. I'm sure will live up to his name here at the World Cyber Games Grand Final. Rounding out the team we have in the back, Eclipse. And we have the Angel Killer.
It is a 7-on-7 format. I believe we're still in group stage here. So it'll be a best-of-3 series. Both teams will play 2 maps, 10-minute rounds. Either eliminate the entire enemy force or capture the enemy's location.
Yeah, the strategy used in this game is not just a team deathmatch, but it takes so much team effort, team coordination here. As we look at WaveKnight, we have one of the leading members, Firestorm. Getting ready, checking all his settings here. And his teammate, Unicorn. With a Mr. Burns pose, sitting back, simply waiting, we have a Venture. I don't even know how to pronounce that, G-G-G-G-Y. I'll call him G-Y. Learning more of these teams, they're getting more prestige to these different tournaments, and getting to see the different play styles and personalities of different players, such as Purple Fox, I'm excited to see as well here in China. Rounding out the team, you have the 2 people in the back. Sam, there's a name I can't pronounce.
Easy enough, it's familiar there.
And last but not least, rounding out the 7th member of Team WaveKnight from China. You can only see his forehead in the shot. It is Brave Rabbit. It's almost like he's halfway in his hidey holes and ready to pounce out. As the refs confirm the different tanks are going to be used to recap the system. The top tier tank that these teams can use is 8. Now the top tier of the combination of these tanks cannot exceed 42 points. And Tanks is going to be the first map here. This map is ideal for light mediums to be on the eastern part, the 6 to 8 meter range, mark range. Buildings are on the west side, divided in the middle by railroads. And on the east side is kind of more open playing field. This is a smaller type map. But these engagements, as you can see from the circle around the rear side, to the flanking maneuvers that can happen in the city, this definitely is a faster paced map. And such is small enough, if you're able to squeeze through and get to the other side, you will incur some serious pressure if you're able to secure your enemy team's base. And here we go, the countdown has begun for the China team WaveKnight, GY, Purple Fox, Firestorm, Avenger, Unicorn, Brave Rabbit, and Sam versus the Russian team, the Red Rush. Amelka, Deluxe, Inspire, Killeroid, LeBois, Eclipse, and Kappa 1. Gonna be on GGGY first here. Light Tank Sam. Light Tank's, of course, moving out to scout, get the radio confirmation of where the enemy team is. It's half the battle, really, in World of Tanks, knowing where your opponent is and how to get a clean shot on him, how to position, maneuver outside of danger and into a killing blow, a lethal blow here.
That's something we saw yesterday. It was crucial that the scout tank does not get picked off, doesn't get too ambitious and greedy with the scouting ability. Just pushing up far enough to get as much information as you can. And of course, one shot from one of those medium or heavy tanks will take out a light tank. So there's a fine line between scouting and staying alive.
Fine line indeed, Rambo. Avenger, Purple Fire kind of moving in between the city here. Not many people are over in the countryside except one light tank. So he's being able to spot anybody moving into that area. No action really yet. Every person on both sides here is getting into different positions. And that's usually what happens in the beginning of World of Tanks. You need to set up your attack pattern, your attack route, and make sure that everybody knows where you are and where you're going. Because you don't want to get picked off alone. That doesn't help your team. It doesn't help win the match.
Yeah, so both teams here just kind of holding their ground, feeling each other out, kind of moving up inch by inch. Perhaps getting an over-eager enemy running into their crossfire.
Avenger feels like he has a shot. It's moving back and forth between the building area. He does dodge that shot coming in from the Russian team. He tries to get a shot off himself. I don't think it landed here. And Killeroid trying to position himself around to the other side, still in a shot. However, Inspire does get a shot off, is able to connect. Avenger, however, has taken damage himself. Killeroid still trying to see which way to go here. Inspire did land that first shot, however, he has lost visual of his enemy target. Amelka continuing to move around as well. Light Tank trying to get position. Unicorn and the Russian player moving back and forth here. Behind that house, it looks like Unicorn is going to back up to the right area. He knows somebody is behind the other side, but he's not going to poke his head out too far. Smart move here. You don't want to get over-eager. He does see his enemy through the building. Whoa, shot goes off. However, it is blocked by the debris. LeBlanc playing very careful here, waiting for his teammates to come by. Firestorm, Purple Fox can get the flank here. They don't want to pop out and get stuck as well, trying to help out LeBlanc.
Just peeking and prodding going on here. They can hear each other's tanks, I'm sure. Being in such close proximity here, they're just afraid to make a move. Oh, nice shot through that window there. LeBlanc trying to answer, and he does 297 damage.
Unicorn at 57%. He is lower than his opponent, but he takes another shot. He's less than 50% here, however, the Russian team does have backup. If he's able to take out that T-32 tank, it will be the first kill. in this first match between these two players.
Oh, we've got a flank here. He's going to swing out the Chinese team. Unicorn, some decoy there, and he can swing out and catch some tanks off guard.
Nice shot. He's able to land one of the shots here, and now a two-pronged attack with reinforcements on the farther side around that corner. However, he's going to move away. He did take some fire himself. And he's going to switch with his teammate. Very smart tactical maneuver here. If you are low in HP and your teammate has a full tank of HP, you definitely want to switch out. Try to divide out the damage among your team.
I think the Chinese team, they have an opportunity here. They've got 4 members. Oh, it does look like the red Russian team. He's on the far right side there. He can swing out and catch these 2 tanks off guard. Perhaps he's going to bait for his teammates.
He's in a position to kind of scout the region here to see who is where to get a shot off. However, Firestorm is moving out slightly around the corner, moving back though to make sure that he doesn't overextend. This is a game of positioning, and you want to be able to move as a team with an objective to take out an enemy tank. You can't just fire whatever moves. This something could be right behind you. Light tank, Kappa 1 taking a couple shots here at what he sees. He's able to stay behind cover though.
Well, the Chinese teammate, they're making a move. They're all going to swing out this corner. They've got to get out and help his teammates. His teammate a little stranded there, a 3-on-1 situation. That is a heavy tank there. He's absorbing all the damage.
The first tank is down for the Chinese team. The Russians are now moving in. They're moving past the heavy tank. They're not going to do that much damage. Gets another shot off, takes down another tank. However, the point man is low in HP here, but they're going to focus on that heavy tank. He is low as well. Just one more shot, one well-placed shot, and he goes down, and he does.
Nice job there by the Russian team, regrouping all 5 members, anticipating an attack, and they're all there together to defend that ambush.
The Chinese team wanted to push out. They wanted to get the first kill there, but very well-placed tactics by the Russian team, the Red Rush. And now WaveKnight from China. Sam still alive, light tank, moving into position, maybe try to capture the enemy base here.
And it does look like we've got the capture timer going on. The Russian team 2 seconds ahead of the Chinese team. And so we've got increased capture time there when you have more tanks. When you take damage, that timer does get shrunken and decreased, so
I think it's just a matter of time for the Russian team, the Red Rush, to score the first victory for this round on Ensk. Very, very smart tactical maneuver here. A couple of tanks do leave the area though. 2 will stay behind. Want to kind of search and destroy at this time now. 4 of the enemy tanks they know are at this certain position. And there is the victory for the Red Rush. Very nice play style. You know, patience in World of Tanks is such a key factor. So many times you want to move out, get the kill. But it's that patience and positioning that what we saw in this match really won the match.
Yeah, we saw China force that first engagement there. They were able to get the first damage off, but Russia doing a good job regrouping and anticipating that attack. They had all 5 there. And when the Chinese team attacked, I saw them kind of stagger out one by one, instead of all coming out together, and then they just got outshot 2-on-1, 3-on-2 situations there.
Placing the heavy tank in the front though, that's tactical. That's the tactical game of World of Tanks. You know, you want to have the heavy be able to absorb those shots while the continued fire comes in from behind you from your teams, and also switching out when somebody takes over too much damage. It was the right methods, the right modes, the right thought patterns for the Chinese team, but the Russian team, the Red Rush, was able to execute it better.
Yeah, and they actually didn't focus fire that heavy tank. They kind of just let them run into the middle of the group. They didn't waste any of their shot time or ammo on them, and then anticipated the backup, the secondary attack, and focus fired those tanks, and were easily able to take that out.
They are in group stages now. They are competing for the grand prize later on. If they're able to make it through group stages, they'll go into a single elimination bracket-style tournament for $28,000. The next map, Einseldorf. This map is actually voted the favorite map on the United States Wargaming site. Artillery doesn't enjoy this map, Rambo. As we talked about yesterday, there's so much cityscape here. There are some serious levels that there's a lot of cover from artillery. Of course, you do have a Central Park-style area in the middle and a little bit on the east side. is open as well, with open courtyards and town centers and a railroad on the west, so we can see the pattern here on the map. Those are different routes that different members of the teams can take to force engagements to fall back to see where their enemy position is and to win the round.
Not so many from the graphic there. We don't have too many front-on confrontations. We saw a lot of waves, a lot of curves. So maneuvering here and getting yourself in good position is crucial, because you won't be able to escape that easily with all those curved roads.
Crucial indeed. The battle clock is winding down. 10 seconds left to go as we start the second match between the Red Rush from Russia and WaveKnight from China. WaveKnight is down 1 game. This is a best of 3. Red Rush is able to take it. They will win this group series and move on in the groups. Tank selection has begun here. Everybody confirming which tanks they're going to have. A lot of people that first start playing World of Tanks so we've been informed they're going to make some switches here as well as what the delay is while we're waiting on. Well, I want to say that the booth for World of Tanks here at the World Cyber Games 2012 Grand Finals is pretty impressive. We have a number of individuals in military uniform. They have a number of computers that people can test out the game themselves. A lot of people being exposed to this game. And the WCG has had a legacy of over a decade of professional tournaments here, and it's exciting to see that World of Tanks is being added. A promotional title here at this event, but I'm sure in future esports events, World of Tanks will be a serious contender, a serious title, because we see some serious gameplay between these teams. Yeah,
absolutely. And the more the game's played, the more it's in tournament play, the more variety of strategies we'll see. So it's really exciting. This game has a lot of promise. It's, different combinations of tanks you can do. Obviously, different strategy depending on the map. It incorporates a lot of the FPS style play. We have the WASD type movement, the zoomed in features, all the different classes. So far, Russian team, they look really strong. They were able to, their gameplay worked. I think now China, I think they got just too anxious there. They wanted to, they knew where the Russian team was, and they got baited in. They got trapped. Now it's interesting to see if China will be a little bit more passive now and hopefully induce the Russian team to attack and answer back with their own victory.
Using that cover back and forth is very important, and to be able to land those shots is very important. Well, in any kind of shooting type game, when you land your shots, that's how you win. You have to land your shots when you have the opportunity. Yeah. And the meta game of World of Tanks is when you move, you're harder to hit, but it's harder to shoot. So being able to be in a position where you can get the bead on your enemy player, but at the same time know that somebody's got your back, or somebody can flank to get more damage against the opposing forces here. It's so crucial in this game. And like you said, I look forward to watching more of the strategies evolve as more teams, more different play styles are involved in professional tournaments here, like the WCG, and see any kind of tricks of the trade, really, or things that players or teams focus on. They keep bottled up. They don't stream it. They don't tell anybody about it. They just have those tricks up their sleeve, and they're able to execute at tournaments and really surprise people. Yeah,
that's a good point there, especially in a newer game. People are going to be really secretive of their strats. Save them for the finals. You don't want to give any information about any tendencies you may have before matches. So yeah, absolutely, they're going to be hush-hush on everything they run. Possibly not even run their greatest stuff off the bat. Maybe save it for later on, and then the medal matches.
Yeah, knowing when to execute certain strategies too is generated through experience. Sometimes you played all your cards at the beginning, everybody knows how you play, or if you win a championship at a certain tournament, the bullseye is now on your back because they know your play style. And you have to continually be adaptive and flexible in order to stay alive on top. And being on top is great, but it does come with a price. And seeing these teams win more and more World of Tanks tournaments, two of the teams that I'm most familiar with, Oda Mortis and the Red Rush, and seeing their performance here. Oda Mortis did very well yesterday, and the Red Rush being up in this game. It's really cool to see the execution of the different planning, the hours being put in from these two teams as they prepare for these events. And this event being 3 days long, 4 days long, and having to study the different teams that they know about and see, okay, what kind of tanks do they utilize? What kind of pattern formations do they have? What kind of contingency plans do they have if their light tank goes down or if our artillery tank goes down? And to be able to study those and to have that all in your mind, and also all the nerves of playing live in front of a huge crowd here in China. You know, being a professional gamer is a serious profession. It takes a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like any other sport. You know, you can play baseball, basketball. You're going to scout the opposing team. You're going to pick up tendencies, find certain matchups, any weaknesses that you can expose. You know, are they an aggressive team, defensive team, and you know, kind of play off that. So yeah, anytime you're not playing, you want to scout your opponents, go check out the tournament area, sit behind them, take notes, make the scouting book. All those kind of informations help because, you know, it could be the difference between winning or losing.
Exactly. Also, how to practice properly too. As more of these teams get more recognition and more sponsorships, they're able to do it more full time. And being able to communicate with each other, maybe find practice partners or practice teams is very important to keep the sport alive and to keep the sport new or fresh. Because you have these people, you have these teams, these players at the top of their game. And a lot of times, what's so beautiful about esports and how it's so international is that, yes, there is a language barrier for a lot of these teams, but these players, they know the language of World of Tanks.
Right.
And with the different strategies and play styles, they're able to communicate in that way. And of course, you know, Google Translate will help here and there, but to have something in common really, really helps the entire scene and does grow the scene internationally.
And something I want to mention that you said earlier about practice partners. Obviously, the better teams that you practice against, the better you'll get. So sometimes when you can only practice versus certain practice partners, you're only going to get so much better. So if say the Russian country is really good at World of Tanks, that's just going to exponentially grow each other's teams as they play each other. So it's why it's interesting, the World Cyber Games, to see these different countries play against each other, and you have all these variety styles of play styles and tanks, layouts, and things like that.
Well, the match is almost ready to begin, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the delay. We had to make some switches here. We want to make sure that everything is good to go for all the players. They're playing at the optimal settings, the optimal way they can. And we're just waiting for final confirmation here to see if the game's ready to begin. But Rambo, you've been involved in esports for a while now. You have a background in Counter-Strike. What do you see as kind of the same pattern between games when they reach a competitive level? Is there a certain leadership that the developers take, or is it more driven from the community?
I think it's both. It goes hand in hand. Obviously, you have to have a community for the game to grow, but then the developers also need to have good feedback from the community to improve the game and fine-tune it so it feels and looks the best as possible. Obviously, when that happens, you'll get more players. And these games where there's a lot of depth involved, a lot of skill gap, I think intrigues, it supports the competitive side of that game even more. You know, when it takes a lot of skill to play.
Why did that guy have to stand right there? He knew the camera was going to be on him. But World of Tanks does have some very, very nice models here, showing off not really military regulation battle uniforms, but pretty close. I was in the military myself. I was in the Air Force. Both my grandparents were in the Navy. Both fought in World War II. And one of my grandfathers fought in the Korean War, and my father was a Marine. So, you know, seeing shooters or any kind of military-type games, I played a lot of flying games. It's fun. It's fun to play, but then there's a sense of Hollywood to it. Like, this is not exactly real or how it happened. The cool level about World of Tanks is they take the history element very seriously, and the descriptions and types of tanks that are developed and the strengths and weaknesses of each of the tanks and how they're utilized really in the field. I mean, World of Tanks, wargaming.net takes that very seriously, and I think that's a really cool element to World of Tanks that can attract the casual player, can attract just regular media or even history or military buffs to the game.
Yeah, and the physics engine as well matches up with the tanks. The side and the back is going to be a little bit more vulnerable than the front side. And the maps too. The game looks great. It replicates the maps, kind of not exactly maybe like real-time situations in history, but it's like the structures and the textures and everything match the time as well.
A lot of movies in Hollywood, we see a lot of the infantry type stories in the field, in the theater of war. But the battalions, the cavalry, the amount of effort and newness, if you will, of the type of strategies of having these armored carriers that could shoot this artillery, that could shoot these weapons and do so much damage, really changed the face of warfare for the entire world. And we see it kind of glorified so much in the different tactics of infantry, but to see it in a video game with tanks, I feel adds a kind of a fresh perspective of military strategy. And also different releases of games that are currently in beta form, or more information will be released soon from Wargaming, but they have World of Warplanes. And
nice.
They'll also have World of Battleships, which of course was at the Navy Theater. And myself, I was training as a pilot. I was a cadet in the Air Force, and being able to fly a P-51 Mustang, and, in a PvP type setting is a lot of fun. Well, it looks like the game's about ready to go here, ladies and gentlemen. 25 seconds left on the battle clock here. The teams are all making sure that they're good to go. Hands on the keyboard and mice. Being able to communicate with each other here. Now, these booths are pretty big and they look pretty sealed, so I don't think there's going to be any issue with them hearing any kind of commentary here. There's actually 3 sets of commentators. Ourselves, the English, we have the Chinese commentators, and also the Korean commentators. So very excited to be here. Here we go. Tanks are moving out here. Server is on GGGGY. And as they position on this map, that is Düsseldorf. We'll see if any light tanks are to go down the center of the area here, or actually stay to the outlying centers, outlying areas to get information.
Right now, these tanks are going to push up as far as they can, take as much as a map as possible without being too aggressive. Because you want to have some bit of map control. You don't want the opposing team to have too much ground, so they can kind of pin you into certain locations. So both teams just kind of taking off half the map, pushing up as far as possible, and then from there they're going to be just scouting each other, taking pop shots back and forth, and then eventually just communicating with each other and figuring out, are we going to try to set an ambush? Do we want to wait and wait for the team to attack us so we can set a counterattack?
Avenger taking point over on the side of the map here. His 2 teammates are on the middle of the road. Killeroid has a nice upward position, and having that sight line could definitely help the tank. However, your turret cannot move all the way down, so you do lose some flexibility if a tank is right below you. However, Avenger knows that there is an enemy tank further along on that side of the road. He's not going to want to pop himself out too far, so he's just going to stay there and wait. Now he's going to scan a little bit, just poke a little bit more. No shots fired at him yet. Killeroid's still up in that position, be able to shoot out of that window. Inspirer, Lebois from Team the Red Rush, just still getting into position here. There is a time limit on the map. 4 shots fired from the Russian team. Time limit now is about 8 minutes, 5 seconds left to go. So they have to accomplish something within that time. But they are biding their time patiently to find the right strategy to execute here. Avenger still feeling that there's somebody around that corner. Has a nice shot in a crossways diagonal position in case a tank tries to cross that road going south. And he does not leave himself too exposed. Unicorn now from the rear, moving in to reinforce him. And he'll probably pop out. They'll probably both pop out at the same time and have some diagonal fire here. Avenger taking the heat of the shots. They do move out, they do scan the road. They do both fire. I don't think any of them connected though. Lebois seeing on his targeting reticle there are 2 enemy tanks further along on that road. However, he's moving back to not be in the fire if they pop out north of him, in front of him. Avenger and Unicorn still staying in that area, trying to get any shots they can between the debris here. Another shot fired by Unicorn, but it did not stick. Unicorn shooting again, but still no dice for him. He is putting pressure on the enemy. However, it has revealed his position. I believe Team WaveKnight, as we see there, 2 of the team members playing a little bit more slow, a little more slower paced. Trying to get in good position here. For the Russian team, they do scout one of the enemy tanks. Will they move accordingly? Lebois trying to move into a different position here. Unicorn has taken damage, though. They do know where he is. I don't know if they still know where Avenger is around the corner. However, they're not moving to that side of the map. And it's really just kind of a mind game right now, Rambo.
Yeah, they're just still filling each other out. Both teams really don't want to make that big mistake. They don't want to get picked off.
Less than 6 minutes on the clock. Either have to destroy your opponents or capture the enemy base here, World of Tanks. For the Chinese team, WaveKnight, they do scout that a Russian tank is in the middle section of the map. Coordinate D5, to be exact here, just past the buildings. They still are able to scout that one tank. He has 78% HP. Unicorn has 81. Unicorn was able to get a shot on him. Now the light tank for the Chinese team is going to move to the western side. He does spot the other light tank. They do fire back and forth. Who's going to get the win? It's going to be Eclipse. Wow.
Surviving with 14 HP, 14%. And that's huge there. If they can actually fall back, they'll have that one-up advantage. So perhaps if it does go to the time limit runs out, they will have that tier point advantage, giving them the win. So now they can essentially just fall back and force the Chinese team to make a move.
The ball is now in WaveKnight's court. They have to make a move here because they are down a tank. Sam just got caught off guard, I believe. Another shot fired here. Russian team trying to communicate to each other if they do spot something on the map. Still staying in their same positions, though. They don't want to give away their positions. They are locked down tight. The Chinese are the ones that have to move. WaveKnight has to move. They have to do something here. 4 minutes, 27 seconds left on the clock. Firestorm himself moving in and out of position behind behind cover here. And as we see, one of the Chinese tanks.
One of the Russians.
One of the Russian tanks, excuse me.
The one that had survived is passed behind enemy lines here, so he maybe picked up some scouting information.
The killer of Sam. Maybe did get some spots down on his enemy there. He did move way past enemy lines. Don't know I don't think they were scouting him. No, I think he was able to move out of there. Now he is on the eastern side of the map, quadrant H0. And now the Russian team is moving into the south. They are going to move towards the enemy encampment and try to capture it themselves, or at least get a better flanking position on what's left of the Chinese. You know, if you do stay in one spot for too long, your enemy can predict where you are if they do move in at once. But the Russian team does not want that to happen. They're going to be the ones moving different positions. Lebois sees an enemy tank here, gets a shot off, but did not land for either tank. 3 minutes, 10 seconds left on the clock. Unicorn and Avenger, the double team, holding the line on this flank. They do see enemy tanks moving towards their position.
Chinese team here, they're in good position. They have 3-2 set up there, so they can trap any of those tanks coming through the middle and swing out from both sides. I'd like to see them make a move here since they are down a tank.
The Russian heavy tank is taking a little bit more damage here. Takes another shot, another one as well. He's below 50 HP, 50% HP here. He needs to move out of that position. The Chinese team are on a wrecking force now. They are moving out together. They want to get a kill. 2 minutes, 25 seconds left on the clock. Firestorm taking a little bit of damage though. With Avenger covering him, being able to do a diagonal position. Avenger coming around right behind Firestorm. Firestorm need to move a little bit further up though. He's taking a little bit too much damage. However, Lebois is being shot down, 77%. His teammate 76, but Firestorm is taken out. Avenger almost taken out himself as well. Taking a lot of damage here. T-32 tank from the Chinese moving in toward the Russians. Russians trying to get the flank on him, however. Russian flag being waved. Team Red Rush looking very good here. Purple Fox from the Chinese team, however, getting the flank, trying to get behind. He knows his teammate's going to go down. He's going to try to do as much damage as possible here. So many tanks still alive. The Red Rush is in the lead.
China here, they have to make a move. They have to hit every single shot now. There's only 1 minute, 30 seconds left. They have to win this to extend the best of 3. And Russia here now, if they can fall back and just play the time, they will win. So now They can just afford to play passive, let the Chinese team run into their crosshairs.
Killeroid using the cover of his dead battle brother along with his enemy tank. Does get a shot off Purple Fox. Very nice hit into the tracks. GGGY moving in though. He's going to want to try to absorb the fire while his teammate moves in from the left. They're going to try to get a flank on him. However, he gets shot himself. The HP is too low for the Chinese team. They're able to get the 2 kills though on the Russian tanks. It's pretty close. But I believe the Russians will still win. I think they do. 38 seconds left, but CHN, Brave Rabbit, Light Tank, only one left alive. The winner is declared, and he smashes into him. And that's it. The Red Rush from Russia wins the series against WaveKnight.
China there, they decided to be the aggressor on the second map. Unfortunately, they just didn't have good enough movement. That one engagement there where Firestorm was out, they had good positioning. They had 3 tanks coming out, and he didn't go out enough so his teammate could back him up. And it was just a big jam there. And then just simple movement like that, a little mistake, you know, you're not going to have any room for your teammates to back you up.
Yeah, it's a little bit daunting when you're the point man, but you have to have that team composition ready to go in scenarios like that. Congratulations to the Red Rush. They will move on in the groups. Next up will be Crossfire, Team IG versus Hollow Mellow. We'll be right back with the next game in a little bit. I'm Clutch. Follow me on Twitter, Clutch08. Joining me was Rambo Ron, Rambo Kim. See you guys soon.